She called my cell. She was happy. She was fine. She was doing great. She was getting ready to get the girls. She said that, well, she said she was going to pick up Ada.
She seemed to be happy.
Yeah, she was very happy. She said your father was being so sweet, and he's being so sweet to me.
How did Michelle MacNeill die? The defendant, Dr. MacNeill, says he didn't do it, says he has an alibi. But the bold question tonight, does the doctor's alibi make sense? Then he's over with the prosecution and defense at the HLNTV.com evidence room.
Thanks, Ryan. And again, the prosecution is on this side, defense on that side. Let's take a look at the windows of death, that time period where the murder could have taken place. We just heard from Dr. MacNeill's daughter that Michelle MacNeill was alive at 8:44 on that phone call. Let's take a look at what happened at 9:10.
My father sounded kind of frantic. He said, "You need to call your mother. She's not listening to me. She's getting out of bed. I'm concerned for her. She needs to rest. Call her and tell her to stay in bed." Well, it took me aback a little bit because it was strange. I just talked with my mom. She was fine. I just left my mom the day before, and she was back to her normal routine. I don't know why she would need to be in bed. She'd been feeling fine just, a little while before. I thought it was strange also that my father called me because he rarely would call me. And so, I don't know, I thought it was just a bizarre voice message.
And Dr. MacNeill called his wife from his office. So let's take a look at that window of time, which is from 8:44 to 9:10. That's the time period that we're talking about. So what has to take place between the time that the daughter talks to mom alive and when dad calls the daughter from the office? Well, one thing that has to take place is someone's got to fill up that bathtub.
We're trying to figure out the window of opportunity for murder, if in fact a murder took place here. Part of it is how long does it take for an average-sized garden tub to fill up with water? Let's do it. We've got a clock here. I'll get the water rolling, and the clock started. All right, I'm looking at this water now. This is plenty high. Looks like it took about 3.5 minutes for the tub to fill up enough for someone to get in there and perhaps be drowned.
All right, so within that window of time that we're talking about, 3.5 minutes to fill the tub, what else is taking place there? Well, the doctor's got to go back and forth. And remember, his home to his office, 1.8 miles to drive, takes about 6 minutes or so without traffic, and there shouldn't be traffic in that part of Utah. I want to quickly go over to our experts. And Dr. Cavalli, if we're talking about these drugs being administered to Michelle MacNeill, how long would it take for her to be sedated, to her to be drowsy, to be sort of out of it?
You know, it really depends on whether the pills were intact when they were administered or not. We've talked before about how Michelle was examining the pills because she didn't want to be taking them anymore. So I'm wondering if one of Michelle's ideas about her husband being so nice and kind to her involved maybe him making a little breakfast and crushing the pills and including it in the breakfast. Well, a crushed pill is going to take effect much more quickly than an intact pill.
All right, let me throw it out here to our attorneys, prosecution and defense. Is there enough time in that window of time?
NASCAR, Indianapolis, and the fastest sprinter in the entire universe could not have made it happen. What happened is she probably ingested it on her own, and she filled the bathtub with water.
We're talking 26 minutes. That's plenty of time for him to get to the house, set up this crime, premeditated, with a few minutes to spare to go to Starbucks.
Seriously.
But no, there's absolutely no way he could have done back and forth. And there could have been any other contingency that could have gone wrong in between. He would have had to time it to the second, and there is no time for him to have been able to do this and get back and forth.
Can't just snap your finger and make it.
Wait,
snap
the jury's buzzing in here.
The jury's got a comment, Jackie.
He didn't do it. He had, the alibi was perfect. He had a timestamp. He was in Starbucks. He called from the office, take my picture, say cheese. He didn't do it. What about Gypsy? Where was she at? Where was Gypsy?
Where was Gypsy? Joseph Scott Morgan, how long does it take if someone is sedated to a certain extent to actually drown them if you wanted to kill them?
Well, in my opinion, Vinny, it would take no more than 2 to 3 minutes, particularly if somebody has already compromised their respiratory system, their cardiovascular system in general. They're already compromised to this point. Simply all that it would take is simply holding them beneath the water. They're not going to be very, very resistant at this point.
All right, we've taken